This is I Should Be Writing, Season 22, Episode 4.
Well, I should be writing. I should be working on my craft. I should be writing. I should be submitting my next draft. But I'm sitting home watching Doctor Who.
Hi there. Welcome to I Should Be Writing. This is a podcast for wannabe fiction writers, and I'm your host, Mer Lafferty. I have published 9 books and been nominated for several awards and been podcasting for over 20 years. And I try to give my credentials so you'll know that I maybe know what I'm talking about, because you should always check when you get advice online where it's coming from. I like to start with talking about how I'm doing, and it's been not a terribly good focus week for me. I have gotten some things, I've dealt with a couple of admin things that I think will make things going forward easier. You know, when you have to take an entire day to fix something that will make every other day better. So I'm hoping I did that. And there will be no show next week. I have a family obligation I need to do, so I will not be in town. And yeah, I think today I wanted to write, but I also remembered I was going to make a better show for you guys. So I spent a lot of this morning working out some things, which isn't putting writing first in my priorities, so that's something I still struggle with. But hey, we are all a work in progress, right? What I have been considering doing, and I did today, is getting show ideas from various periodicals that I have sitting around and I don't read. And I think I had an epiphany today of why I don't read these things. The same thing goes for a lot of reading that I want to do. My to-be-read pile is gargantuan. Last week I mentioned something about how I felt like I needed to sneak up on my podcast and just do it instead of preparing for it. And I realize I know that it will take an investment of time to read the article and to glean something from it. When I read, I usually get hyper-focused and I will just read and disappear in a book, which, was great when I was, 15. And I think I shy away from that because I'm like, do I feel like I have the time to focus on that thing that I know will make things better? And so today I did that. I got an old, which one was it? They're almost identical, I swear. Which one was it? Writer's Digest. Got an old Writer's Digest article, magazine, and started flipping through, and I found something. And I thought it was going to be me being derisive and saying they were wrong. But instead, I read something and learned a lot, which I think we can all learn from. I am going to be talking about writing contests, and I've talked about them before. Now we're just going to be talking about, have I changed my mind? And, the TLDR is yes. You guys can leave now if you really need to. The answer is yes. And that's about it. Writing contests, my previous thought was, if you want to win a writing contest, you spend money and you write a story and you send it in, and one person or a very small number of people will win. And you don't know what you win. Usually it's something like a copy of the periodical or publication on their website. And when you submit a story to a magazine, you write a story, you submit it, only a few get picked, but you don't spend money. So if you think you're writing something good enough for a contest, why not just write it for a magazine? That was my previous thought. And there are contests that try to do rights grabs. If you submit to them, then they have the right to your likeness, your story, other film rights, whatever. They'll grab whatever they can. That's not great. Other things, and this is not a writing contest, but this is either the Webbys or the new podcaster thing they have. It's not new, but it's newer than the Webbys. because they contact me every couple of years and say they'd love my podcast to be like on the ballot. It costs money. It costs a lot of money. And I look and they have massive, massive big name sponsors. And they proudly say how many people are nominated or win or whatever. And so I did the math of how many millions they were making, because I don't know how much they're making from the sponsors, but I know how much they're making from the actual people who run the shows. And that's like $300 to $500 depending on the show. So no, hell no. But in reading this article, I discovered that there are contests that have changed. And we're going to talk about two of the contests that have changed. Rather, 2 contests have changed the way contests work pretty much online. It's pretty impressive. The first one I'll talk about is New York Midnight, nycmidnight.com. This is a group where they run these rolling kinds of contests. They'll have contests of screenwriting, microfiction, flash. I forget all of them. But actually, oh wait, I had the website, didn't I? Yeah, there it is. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I did pull it up. But they have these rolling challenges that are, here it is, 100-word microfiction, 250-word microfiction, 500-word fiction, flash, rhyming story, scary story, screenwriting, and short story. And they only they start each contest many months apart. So right now, upcoming is the microfiction challenge, the 100-word microfiction challenge. What they're working on right now are different stages of the other contests. So unfortunately, I didn't find out about this before February 13th, because that's when their screenwriting challenge went. And their screenwriting challenge is like 10 pages. It's not like a full feature film thing. But there are several tiers. So you get past the first tier, the first stage, you go on and they'll give you another challenge to write. They give you the prompts, and apparently the money is good. They give lots and lots of money. They specifically say they don't do rights grabs. They have a thriving community, and it's really interesting. You've got the calendar here where they say what's going on right now. The screenwriting challenge first round is going on right now, and they're on scary story second round, and then the final round is coming up, and then the entry deadline, it's got all of these things are staggered through the year, and it's impressive. You know, I looked at the requirements, and let's see, let's enter the microfiction. I'm not going to enter the microfiction. I'm just looking at the registration. It is $30 until the deadline, until the early entry, and then $36 before March 20th. And you can get a discount for posting on social media. And they donate to charities. So here's what I realized, and it's kind of funny because I believed so much in this for NaNoWriMo, and I never ever thought of it for contests. With NaNoWriMo, some people are just like, I write every month is NaNoWriMo. I'm always writing. Why are you being so special and doing it in November? I agreed that it gave people a sense of camaraderie, other people doing the same thing. It gave you a community to talk to about what you were doing, and it gave emotional support. These contests seem to do the same thing. They give you prompts, and a lot of people get, as we discovered when we were doing the Kick in the Pants workshop, you get, when you're told you're limited with a prompt, that unlocks some kind of creativity vault in your head, because your forebrain's going, oh, I have no idea. Why do you want me to write a story about that? And your hindbrain's going, just hang on. We got it. We'll get something. We'll get something out there. And it's kind of hard to stimulate that hindbrain. It's like big and lazy. And I think it's very, very strong in most creatives, but learning how to tap into it is the challenge. When you think you want to write a story about X, and you don't have people doing the same thing, you don't have a community, and you don't have anybody saying, come on, little camper, you can do this, you may never finish it. Whereas if you have all of those things, you're more likely to finish it and more likely to get, the I finished something little dopamine hit. So I thought, doing this research, I looked and I thought, okay, that's cool. I'll admit that's cool. And then I realized maybe I should check out that other website they mentioned in the article. And that is called Writing Battle. This one it might be too much, but it looks kind of fun. I hate to admit it. It's a writing battle in 4 steps. You choose your class, and your class kind of gives you your genre. Then you get writing prompts, you write your story, and then you give and get feedback. They have different levels of contests. There's the peer voted contest, and then there's the judge voted contest. The judges include Ken Liu and Shelby Van Pelt, who I haven't read her, but I see Remarkably Bright Creatures on every featured desk on every bookstore I go into, and it's about octopuses. So I can probably guess that she'd be a good judge. And then there are several others, but it was Ken that really stood out to me. And again, the battles run about $20 to $40, depending on whether you get there early or you do the professionally judged battle or the peer judged battle. The cash prize pool is large, like $30,000 are the pool, and the professionally judged one, $10,000 for the peer judged. And then they got the information on the pro judged rules versus the peer judged rules. And here's what excited me about this. People have asked a lot lately. They can't find a writing workshop. They don't know how to do it. And I will fully agree. I had a lot of trouble finding a writing workshop when I was starting out. But I found the Online Writers Workshop, OWWSF. I can't even remember. I don't even know if it's legit anymore. But you had to pay it to join. And then you got behind a password wall, paywall. And then you did your story and you critiqued other people's stories, and you had to do 4 critiques for every story you submitted to make sure that, you were pulling your weight. And it did that whole thing of it gave a community. We were often, not writing the same stories, but we were started to keep up with the people you worked with. And this sounds like that a lot, because there are peer judge things. There's comments. There's, except this one, you can actually get cash back. So I think this is pretty amazing. I tried to look at the whole site, and it's the kind of site that blocks half of it for members only. So I couldn't even see what they have. I'm trying to figure out the difference between the forum and the tavern is my big thing. But again, when you look at the rules, you got the official rules agreement, the rubric and all that, what the entry fee is, the schedules, do they grab your rights? I can't find the exact spot, but I'm pretty sure they do not. Nope. Pretty sure there's no rights grabs. So I think that contests have evolved, and they start looking like they might be worth looking at again, especially if you're someone looking for a peer community to work with, to write with, to talk with. I'll put a little ad for myself in here saying that we do offer a Discord, an exclusive Discord for people who support via Patreon at patreon.com/MightyMur, but we don't do prompts, and anybody who forms like a writing group, that's their own creation. We don't have anything official going on, but I think this looks pretty good. Yeah, so I guess my opinions have changed. Or writing challenges or contests have finally changed to be interesting to me or fit better the way creative work has evolved with the internet. I think contests are catching up. Right, we were talking about the Webbys. Early 20s, I guess, where they were poking me to submit to the Webbys. And I'm looking now, and someone in chat was asking about the fees, like kind of being surprised that the Webbys asked for fees. Here are the fees for this year, 2026. Student, $125. Discounted, I have no idea what you need to do to get this discount, $255. Creators, single entry, $475. Regular, again, what? $625. Branded video, $665. Social campaign, $665. Software, $665. Ad campaign, again, how is that different than the other three? $865. So yes, for the Webbys, you pay a lot. Yeah, that's the Webbys. And what do you win? I don't even know what you win. Entries will receive a Webby Award or the Webby People's Voice Award. Oh, cool. Oh my God. Where does the money go, Webbies? Where does it go? Oh, crap. Amazing. So yeah, that's the Webbys. Anyway, it is cheaper to just buy yourself an award. That is absolutely right, Firewriter. It is. So interestingly, when I do research and prepare my podcast, it's more succinct and shorter. So I'm open to questions or anything people want to talk about, but those I can thumbs up these writing contests. I think it's probably pretty cool. One thing interesting about the writing battle that bothers me a little bit is this feels like a website where you want to be a member of, and there's no members fee. It looks, from what I can tell, you pay per story. So I don't know what happens when you, like that story that you submitted, when that battle's done and you may not want to go for the next one. What happens to your ability to wander around the site? I don't know that. Perhaps I will look into what that is. But anyway, if anybody looks into these and decides to take part, let me know. I'm curious how that would go. I'm getting flashbacks to those student honor society things where your parents could pay a bunch of money for a book with your name in it. Yes. The was it Who's Who or National Honor Society? No, that was a real thing. I can't remember. My kid was also invited to spend money for a book with their name in it. Have I joined just in time to bring things to a close? Kind of, unless people want to talk about something else. I actually, as I said, I did research and made notes for this episode. So the downside is it's tighter and more succinct for, which means it's over sooner rather. But anyway, the long and the short of it, Crystal Briar, is I have changed my mind about writing contests. Writing Battle looks interesting, and nycmidnight.com looks interesting. I'm not endorsing them. I'm not sponsored by them. But from doing my research this morning, they look pretty cool for giving prompts, creating community, urging you to write, giving support. Writing Battle gives peer reviews, gives peer awards. It's just interesting. So if anybody tests it out, please let me know the experience for you. But I feel like it's the same as NaNoWriMo in the sense that you are joining a group of people who are doing the same thing you are, and therefore you're not alone. Whereas talking to other writers who are also writing a thing is a little bit more vague. We have a first-time chat. Supernova Cat, welcome. I've been doing NYC Midnight for a few years now. There's a forum area where everyone can share their stories and get feedback. It's pretty cool. Thank you, Supernova Cat. That's awesome. Are you still a member of the community after the story, or does that unlock the forum for you all the time, or do you have to keep submitting? All right, we actually have some questions. I'm going to give Supernova Cat a moment to reply if they're still around. I hope they are. We got two questions. I'm going to go with Valerie's first because it's not a question. It's just a bit of news. SIFWA mentoring program apps are closing soon, and that will get you in touch with a member of Veteran Writer in SIFWA. You do not need to be a member of the Science Fiction Writing Association. You can just submit your application and meet up with your mentor, and I think most people talk about once a week for 6 weeks or so. I've done it as a mentor a couple of times. It's pretty interesting. I hope I helped. But yes, I'm assuming that would be the SIFWA site. I think that's sfwa.org. But if you search for SIFWA website, you'll find it. So Underpope asks, has anyone actually changed a POV character in a novel? Because that's what I'm doing, and it's painful. What exactly do you mean? Do you mean change the POV character like it was going to be Bob and now it's Sally? Or a new character POV? Or third to first? I'm not... Because a lot of people... I mean, I bounce between characters for POVs. So were you doing... Tell me what you were doing. In the meantime, we'll go back to Supernova Cat. The forum is unlocked as soon as you register once, so you can read other stories even if you don't register for a specific competition. Very cool. I think anyone can register for the forum. Not sure. Okay, I might I might test that out just for science or this website. But thank you so much for that information. Back to Underpope. It was going to be one person and now it's another. It's a single POV third person close novel. Wow. Yeah, that does sound like a lot of heavy lifting. I'm not going to lie. I don't have any advice on how to make it easier because that's a big thing to do. So I guess everything's going to be the same in the novel, just you're looking at it from a different character's POV. Because, I mean, are you going like, yeah, I'm just imagining it. And it's like, if you're just doing a singular POV, that's huge because are you like going from protagonist to spear carrier? For example, The Great Gatsby was told from Nick's point of view, and that was not Gatsby's. And I wonder what would have happened if he just decided, you know what, I think this should be from Gatsby's point of view. And I don't even know if Nick would be in it. There's this guy I know. I haven't read a Gatsby in a long time, for the record. The Kids Are Asleep changed from single third-person POV to dual first-person once, and it was a lot. Yeah, I'd probably want to ask you a lot more personal questions you wouldn't want on the podcast about the story. Like what is your ultimate goal, etc. But yeah, that's a big move and something you should really consider. And save the first one. Save the version of the first one just in case. Because Nick telling the story is different than Gatsby. I don't know if it's a Nick Gatsby thing. I'm just wondering. Tish is here. Hello. It's good to see you. We are winding down a little bit, but in short, Tish, we've been talking about writing contests and how they've evolved and I'm kind of on board with them now. Because it feels like they feel more like writing communities where you can pay a little bit extra to do something interesting within it. Maybe. I'll need to join. I'm going to be trying to get a lot more firsthand experience with a variety of things, either products or websites or books. I will, of course, say when the books are, or when whatever I'm talking about has been given to me as opposed to purchased myself, but definitely don't have the kind of reach where people are sending me anything other than fiction right now. But I have a lot of fiction. Going to be working on that too. Getting that read or given away. But we've got some interesting plans. I'm just hoping that I can keep up with it. I mentioned this at the beginning. There will be no stream next week. I have a personal family thing I need to do. But then the week after that should be... Actually, that's going to be an interview. I'm very glad you guys came with me to do this live stream. I'm glad you're listening to this if you're listening in the future. You can contact me for feedback or questions at mightymur@gmail.com. The website and show notes are murverse.com. Everything I do is sent out through Patreon, ad-free and early. And that's patreon.com/mightymur, where you can go and join the Fabulists and enter the Discord, and the archives are done. I'm just releasing them on a schedule. And yeah, it's a good time. supporting the podcast helps me keep going, and maybe I can buy a dresser to put in this room to put some stuff on top. That's a joke that you guys haven't heard because I forgot. I did a behind the scenes film before I streamed today. So I showed you guys all of this room. It's scary. I'll be putting that on Patreon as well. And you can see I have ADHD. I'm a very messy person. I try really hard, but this room suffers because of it. But we are indeed going a little off topic. Sorry about that. My other podcast is called Ditch Diggers. I do it with T. Kingfisher, aka Ursula Vernon, and it's every other Monday usually on Twitch as well. Thursdays I should be writing 3 p.m. twitch.tv/MightyMur if you want to come hear the complete unedited version of this show. I've done a lot of stuff, a lot of admin stuff, but I'm feeling a little bit better. And I think I can be writing now. So you should be too. Thank you for listening to I Should Be Writing, the longest running writing podcast in existence. This episode was made possible by the Fabulous, who support the podcast via Patreon or Substack. Join the Fabulous at patreon.com/MightyMur or mightymur.substack.com. Theme music provided by John Anelio. Art provided by Numbers Ninja. And podcast hosting provided by Libsyn. This episode is released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 license. You can find all of my books and podcasts at murverse.com.
Doctor